Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Silver Mellow, but you can all call me Silver. Before we get to the main content, please show your support by subscribing and clicking the bell so you all get notified by when I upload new videos. Far, far in the galaxy, in a bar, not too far from what could be perceived as the black market, a old man, strong, very well famous as being a smuggler himself, walks into this very dangerous looking bar. Walks in, sits down, grabs a drink, and starts sipping. He's having a lovely day until he notices he's being watched at. Not by one, not by two, but by everyone in the pub. Or bar, as other people like to call it. People begin to walk up to him asking, "Hello, are you going to continue on the story that you told us last time?" The old man begins to realize, that's right. I was telling you guys the story about the bounty of getting Megabolt, the rogue Mandalorian, with my two, well, personal friends, both Mandalorians, Claymore and Luna. However, to be fair, it's natural to assume that my team, or at the least that my two Mandalorian friends, won the fight. It was 1 versus 2 after all. Yeah, there were droids, but droids can only work under certain commands, especially these types that were under Megabolt's control. Anyway, after we captured Megabolts, they stuck to their deal. They took me back to the Bounty Hunters Guild. It wasn't until later on that they asked me for some more help. This help was only offered by Claymore, as Claymore needed help with his guild work. I don't actually know much about the Mandalorian guilds and what makes them different, but I know at least one thing, that this particular guild is very into styling their own armors, because when Claymore met me the next day, he brought a friend of mine known as Red Buster. Red Buster was a very outgoing Mandalorian. He was very weird. But his fighting style was very impressive, because I had heard of some guy named Crimson Buster. I'm not sure. I think he was following along, or maybe he was a pupil of his. I don't know. Point was, he was very outgoing and very charges in there, because when we went on the mission to help Claymore, every goddamn time we wanted to do something quietly, he got in the way. Then again, so did Claymore. That they're both a bit cuckoo in the head when it comes to their just wanting to screw it, let's just throw the fists. That's their mentality. That's how they've been trained, I guess. It doesn't matter anyway, because we were working with one other that was able to keep them in line, even just a little bit. Not all the time, but a little bit in line. She was quite kind, and, well, she wasn't very into the idea of killing as much as Claymore was. But then again, you've never actually seen him kill anyone. All he does is screams out, "Die!" all the goddamn time. It's a little annoying. Anyway, Red Buster, he seems to be a Mandalorian that likes to use his fists. I noticed this when we were going on the mission to hunt down another Mandalorian. However, this particular Mandalorian was actually a part of Claymore and Red Buster's clan, including the girls' clan. It was weird. We were supposedly hunting for this legendary mass murderer. Apparently, no one knew that this mass murderer was a Mandalorian. I guess it makes sense, since they've been getting away and hiding from the cops. And other bounty hunters for so long. But yeah, no, Red Buster told me a lot about this chick. She's apparently very dangerous and very blood hungry, apparently. But enough about Red Buster. Let's get on with the rest of the story. So before I get on with the rest of the telling you guys about the bounty, the this Claymore and Red Buster apparently only really listened to a few people a part of this particular Mandalorian guild. But the one thing that was definitely weird was that they weren't technically listening, but they were more just following along with this female Mandalorian. This one was very different. She, again, as I said before, she's very kind and caring, but she's actually quite vicious when she's fighting. It's kind of terrifying, actually. She'll shoot you with this weird modified plasma gun that only has the stun effect. If some of you don't know, the stun effect will just like hit you like a taser. But the other thing that was very weird was something that I didn't get told until later on by Red Buster, is that just like the Jedi of old, this female Mandalorian was able to use what the Jedi called the Force, the ability to levitate things with their mind. What made this really weird was I was surprised that they weren't using a lightsaber, but at the time I guessed that because the Jedi Order had been forgotten or destroyed, I don't know much about what's happened these past few years. All I know is that she didn't use a lightsaber, she just used the ability to levitate. On top of that, with her ability to grapple on using the balls of armor around her wrists and ankles, she'll grapple onto her enemies or grapple onto other moving objects with her jet while she's activated her jetpack for really quick, precise movements or movements. And then on top of that, with her hand-to-hand fighting skills, it was if she learned how to shoot and fight at exactly the right moments in time. It was as if it was a fighting style all based on guns, but also hand-to-hand styles. It was terrifying and weird, but it was really cool. The girl's name in this was Zero. I don't know why people called her Zero or why her Mandalorian clan or guild called her Zero, but my assumption was because it always seemed like she was in zero gravity. The way she moved in the air, the way she made other people and objects move, it just made it come off as if she was in zero gravity a lot. But the weirdest thing was her connection to the bounty. Apparently, Red Buster, Claymore, and Zero were all victims to this bounty. It was weird. Hearing the story about how this Mandalorian who left their guild, clan, whatever they call it, had apparently stolen tech and blood samples of each three of them. Apparently she stole some others, but we don't know that yet. That's one of the reasons why they've asked me to help capture her. Apparently we're bringing Megabolt with us because apparently the guild doesn't have the time to deal with him just yet, so we have to hold on to the dummy, but who knows how long it'll be. All I know is that right now, Zero and Red Buster have this big grudge against the bounty because this bounty, stole the most from Zero and Red Buster. Apparently didn't steal much from Claymore, but Claymore's still sort of very angry. Anyway, so we went to this planet where we believe the next victim will be attacked, because apparently this Mandalorian, who is our bounty, attacks based on which planet seems the most inhabitable. Apparently, she will always leave her victims completely drained of blood to a point of where people are getting really concerned that this particular bounty is a vampire. I don't particularly understand why people call it a vampire, since vampires don't exist. They're made up stories by very primitive civilizations, but it's fine. I don't mind. Either way, so we ended up calling the bounty the vampire because the vampire would constantly leave her victims completely drained of all their blood. They would honestly be sacks of alien, human, other species, even dogs, cats, and birds, just sacks of flesh. No blood, no liquid, nothing. Um, One noticeable sign was that it always seemed like that there would be multiple needles sort of stabbed into them. It's also been shown that that is where the biggest amount of blood still remains in the victims. Like there'll always be little traces of blood near the needle holes. We suspect that this particular Mandalorian drains her victims by skewering them with 6 to 5 needles and then just draining all of their blood. We didn't understand why they were using blood until we actually met with this particular Mandalorian. So we got onto the ship and we left for the planet. It didn't take very long. I believe it only took us a couple of days in before we got there. But the weirdest thing about the whole trip was that when we got to the planet and we landed and made sure the ship had been safely placed, people had instantly started glaring at my Mandalorian friends, Claymore and Zero specifically. Apparently, Claymore and Zero had already committed crimes on this planet. So I went around gathering information while the Mandalorians dealt with whatever situation they had to before we started hunting. So it only took me like a few minutes to find out apparently what these crimes were. Apparently, Claymore had been spotted killing some old lady at a bar. And then later on, trying to rip into her like a vampire. And then the other thing was that Zero had apparently been using her powers to drop people from the sky, killing them on impact. I was very concerned, but then I sort of realized that even though all of these things were the same styles, they apparently all had one thing particular in common. These crimes were done because the person was getting into their bodies or like trying to rip into them. So at that point, I went rushing back. I had to get back to the Mandalorians as I thought maybe it might be possible that they were using some holographic technology or something to disguise themselves, as previously, as they told me, this particular Mandalorian was stealing their equipment, so it must have made sense. Maybe the vampire stole some holographic technology. As a result, I went to go and rush, but then there they were already. I couldn't decide which one was which, as all I could see was 2 claymores, 2 zeros, 2 red busters, and then all I could see was the vampire floating above them. It was insane. However, they weren't holograms. They came off as real. It was so weird. But it didn't take me long until I realized that The vampire didn't realize that I was a part of the team, so I got behind a building, took out some of my custom-made rifle parts, and reattached my rifle to stun the enemy, as apparently this particular clan of Mandalorians don't kill. So I quickly rushed over to stun her, and we managed to capture her. Well, I all hope you all enjoyed that story and art in today's video. I have been working really hard with trying to upload, so I hope you really liked today's video. Then please leave a comment and a like, and if you want to leave a suggestion for any ideas of videos you would like to see, then please do. I hope you all have had a good day, evening, morning, night. If you want to see more, then please go watch my other videos. This was Silver Mellow, and I'll see you all in my next art video.